through Thursday. We're now joined by Baylor men's basketball coach, national championship head coach Scott Drew, with Craig and Paul, David Smoak as well. So what have you been up to?
Not much. Relaxing, vacation, a lot of fishing, golf, right?
Yeah, no decision making, no recruiting, none of that. Can you try to describe, and I know it's been a while, but just the decision about Kentucky, if you don't mind, and how much maybe a relief off your shoulders, no matter what you would have done, and how much what did that feel like?
Well, first, it's a great compliment anytime people appreciate what you've done, and that's not just from Kentucky, but from Baylor. And as you know, in any big decision in life, and why is it a big decision? Because at the end of the day, I've really grown for 20 plus years spiritually, and Waco is home. It's home to my family. My kids were all born here, and the easy thing always to do is to stay because that's what you want to do. At the same time, whatever God wants you to do, that's what you need to do and what you're called to do. And really, in that whole process, that's what I was just trying to do, was see His will and where He wanted our family. And the good thing is, He wanted us at Baylor. So once that was done and solved and added, it was very easy because, again, this is home, and we're very comfortable. We feel loved here, supported here. But the great thing also was people knew, hey, if God's calling you to go, that you got to go where God wants you to go.
Well, Coach, I'm glad I didn't have to send you my last-ditch effort to convince you not to leave because I would miss you too much. But I was going to say, moving really stinks. It's a pain. There's not as good Mexican food up there as you know. There's lots of things I was going to send, but you have been able to, in all of that, still be able to do your actual job at Baylor when people are calling you to see if you're interested and all of that. And you've had a very productive offseason. How much of the excitement around your name and people wanting you other places has kind of helped open up some doors that maybe wouldn't have been open before for recruiting?
Well, I think our staff deserves most of the credit with that, and they've done a phenomenal job. And we've had a lot of staff movement this year, but those guys that had stayed and the ones before they had left had really put us in a good position to be successful. And then Mac and President Linda Livingstone, what they've done with making sure Baylor University in the current climate of NIL and transfer portal is able to be successful and compete for championships. That's extremely important. And then you throw in Baylor's success. I mean, last 5 years, winningest Power 5 program in the country. In the last 4 years, the only team to be a top 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. Since 2019, one of 4 schools to win a game or more in the NCAA tournament. The only school to have 3 guys drafted in the top 16 in the last 3 drafts. So much positive things to build off of and to attract recruits to. And then, as you know, anytime that people are talking highly about you in the news, that's a good thing. And a lot of excitement around Baylor University. And then with Eve, Jacoby, Jalen, all possibly drafted this year, and a couple possibly in the lottery. That's all things that have really made it easier to recruit the next players at Baylor University.
Coach, you mentioned that coaching tree, and it's flourishing right now, and 2 big moves this offseason, obviously, with John Jacobs taking over at Florida Atlantic. And then after your Kentucky saga, Kentucky still strikes here in Waco with Alvin Brooks III, obviously bringing him onto Mark Pope's staff. You're no stranger to turnover on staff, but can you just speak to the impact of both of those men and now how you've gone about filling those roles as it was announced last week?
Yeah, so Coach Jacobs has done a phenomenal job ever since he got here, and really did a great job in helping things offensively in particular, and worked with the guards a lot, and recruiting wise, really did a great job identifying not only talented players but people that fit our culture. So really excited for him. FAU got a great coach, and somebody's going to be really, really successful. Coach Brooks is somebody that from day one, you always respected his work ethic. You respected how he did it, and somebody that's been selective. He's had head coaching inquiries and has turned down some of those opportunities and not pursued some of them, waiting for what's best for him and his family. So there's no doubt that very soon in the near future he's going to be given several more of these opportunities, and hopefully it's one that fits him and his family, because he'll be a great head coach. He's done a great job with us here, and somebody that has no enemies in the profession. Everybody really respects him. So gonna miss those guys. Luke Simon did a phenomenal job as director of ops for us, and I know you guys that have spent any time traveling with us or around us know what a great job he did, and he was able to get a great promotion at Ohio State to be an on-the-floor coach with Jake Diebler, somebody that played with my dad and brother and coached with my brother, and a ton of respect for. So all three of those guys really excited and happy for them.
All right, I'm gonna name two schools, and if you can talk about these players, let me know, because I know not everyone has signed. Miami and Duke.
Yep. What about him?
All right. Norshad Omier, an incredibly good-looking athlete who's plays inside and tremendous hands around the rim. But Jeremy Roach, the guard from Duke as well. How big, and they aren't the only ones, but how big are those two dudes coming into part of your roster?
Well, I think since you brought up Norchad first, somebody that fits our culture, somebody exemplifies culture, joy, Jesus, others, yourself, somebody that's been to a Final Four his sophomore year at Miami. He's had success. I joked the day he was born, he averaged a double-double. So somebody that's produced at every level he's been, and a great teammate. Everybody that knows him, so appreciative for him, the person, the man. He's going to be a great fit, and the people in the community are going to really enjoy getting to know him. At the same time, Jeremy Roach is somebody that's been to a Final Four as well, somebody that we've played against and seen up close and personal this year. Tremendous player who, when the game's on the line or the bigger the moment, the better he performs. So we know how important guard play is in college basketball. So you bring in two people that have experienced success at the highest level, yet neither have won a national championship. So they're hungry to have that opportunity and really fit in well with, again, our culture and what Baylor University is about. Couldn't be any more pleased to have Jeremy and Norchad a part of our program.
Particularly for Jeremy and the young guards you have coming in, not to mention Norchad, but I mean, for him as a guy who is you just watch him at Duke. I mean, he's a leader in every sense of the word. For those young guys you have coming in, how great of a pairing opportunity is that?
Well, you definitely want to have upperclassmen that not only are talented and good players, but more importantly are good leaders and good teammates, because coaches know this. Players listen to players more than they listen to coaches. And if you get the right player-led team and the right player leaders, that's when your teams achieve the most. So both of those guys are going to be great leaders, great teammates, and that's going to make it a lot easier for all the younger guys and new guys on our team.
Scott, we've asked you this before, but is the part of building a roster more difficult than ever before with the transfer portal, with the way it is?
Yeah. Well, I think yes, to answer the question. But I think a couple things. One, this year the recruiting calendar is a little easier, so that makes it easier to handle. The second thing is, now that we've seen how things are trending and going through the experience last year for everybody, I think it makes it a little easier to go through. At the same time, replacing over half your team is not something that any of us are used to. We're used to players coming in, being here a couple years, graduating. Yes, you'll have a couple one and dones, or people leave early, or people transfer, but 75% of your team, if you have a good culture, staying 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and graduating. So again, replacing that many guys in a short period of time, because really you don't know who's going pro, who's transferring, who's coming back until season ends. And then you have that 6-8 week window to not only figure that out, but then add people. And it used to be you'd recruit guys for 2, 3 years, 4 years. So you knew them and you knew just how they would fit in. Now you have to make those decisions a lot quicker. So not only are you watching a lot of film and talking to a lot of people, but then you got to try to see how the guys you're recruiting, what your current team thinks of them, and if they would want to play with them. So it's just a lot more work at the end of the season over what it used to be, which is the end of the season, you might add 1 or 2, but you're not adding 6, 7, 8 guys.
Scott, I know this is probably not something you have to deal with, but how in the world, how difficult is it to keep up with making sure these student athletes, as they transfer as many times as they do, are continuing the path towards a degree? And making sure, is that something that, I know compliance, Chad Jackson, whatever,
Yeah.
How difficult, is that even something you have to deal with?
Oh, you definitely have to deal with it, and we're really blessed. The people in academics have done a phenomenal job for us. Josh, Ramon, compliance, Chad, Mabry, Lauren, their group, and specifically Lauren and Josh. I think I talk to them as much as anybody on our staff. So they've done a phenomenal job in not only identifying who we can recruit, but then once we're recruiting them, how we can make sure they're eligible, graduating, working on a master's degree, picking the right degrees, and that's extremely critical. So couldn't thank them enough.
Scott, is this the first time since maybe you got here that you've had this much of a staff refresh in total?
I definitely think so. I might have to get down into Matt's in here. He can figure out if there was another time. But to recent history, by far and away, it's the most turnover we've had, and that's why I mean, Tweety Carter, Jared Nunes, Ty Beard, Jason Smith, those guys did yeoman's work through the transition as people were coming, going through the interview process, because not only were you doing that, but you had to put together a roster. So those guys really did a great job stepping up and making all this possible.
Are you glad that Coach Jacobs didn't take a Big 12 job?
Yeah.
That is one thing for sure I was glad about.
Coach.
And ironically, Coach Jacobs said once he got the job, and I didn't take a Big 12 job. I said, thank you, Coach.
Very true. Very true. Coach, you don't strike me as the type that goes out seeking attention, but you also don't shy away from it when you do get it. You see the benefits in it. Obviously, I think it'd be beneficial for you guys that you had so much attention on you with Louisville or Kentucky, whoever it's been showing you attention. But just personally, what was that process like to have such a huge spotlight on you there for 2, 3, 4 days, tracking flights, all the stuff that went into that? Just on your end, was that a unique process, or just how did you kind of view all of that as you sorted through it?
Well, I'm somebody that, I can't go to bed until my text messages are read, my emails are caught up, my WhatsApp and all that. So, anything like that. I remember when we won the national championship, there was over 1,000 text messages, and you kept trying to answer them, and you get it down to 600, and then you take a break, go to the bathroom, and you come back and said 800 or 1,000. You're like, man, I'm never going to get this done, But anyway, stayed up all night, knocked it out. So I say all that to say that was actually good practice to go through what I went through in that short period of time, because not only are you trying to get resolution there and what God wants for you and your family, but also making sure that you're there for your current players and addressing their needs and being the head coach they've asked you to be and entrusted you with, and at the same time dealing with recruiting on who we're recruiting, who we're bringing in, what we're looking for, what our needs are. So not a lot of sleep during that period of time, but again, couldn't be more blessed and pleased to have not only great family and friends and loved ones to support you and help you, but also a staff to help make it where at the end of the day, we've won titles, we've won championships, and our staff knows that each and every year you're not going to win the last game, but having a chance to do that is really exciting, and then doing it with a group of guys that you really enjoy being with. And we were able to put that together last year. And this year seems to be the same, which is really exciting.
You mentioned your faith in the decision making. Was there one other single piece of advice that maybe stood out to you more than anything else that anyone said to you?
A lot of great advice, and actually stuff that once that was over, talking to a couple of our players, just deciding what to do. And I remember Caleb Owner sitting in my office, well, how'd you do it? And so anyway, just having the opportunity to share with spiritually seeking what God's will was, and then what's the best for my family. And then from there, trying to discern that and make the best decision for that.
Final thing, you mentioned your staff. I know that Jared Nunez stayed. He's a part of it, a very big part of it, along with some others that were a part of your staff. But how much did he, being around during the time when others are leaving, I texted him the other day and he said, I'm trying to get on vacation. Does he does he now get a chance to take a vacation yet?
Yeah. We're probably a week away from talking vacation time still.
Gotta get the NBA combine over with.
He definitely has earned a good night's sleep. That is for sure. And one of the best things is, I mean, Jared, I've known him since 1997. I mean, we go to the Sweet 16 in 1998, but you've known him for close to 30 years. So it's important to have people around that you know, trust, and love, but also people that know you, and a lot of times remind me of certain things like, hey, this is how we did it before. Remember that work, coach? And just knowing what, having such a good feel for our current players, and then knowing the ones coming in who would fit in with them, really did a great job during this time for sure.
Well, now you can sleep because the Big 12 next year won't be more loaded than they've been the last several years, right? Only, good Lord, what's going on, man? It's going to be unbelievably fun to watch.
Yeah, every year I seem like a broken record. I'm like, the Big 12 is the best conference, and I didn't think it could get any better, and look what it is now. So, but again, you look at a lot of these way too early polls, and for the top 5 teams or Big 12 teams or whatnot, and it's going to be another exciting year, and I know fans love it. We'll be done with the Foster, everything. I know we played games in there, but it'll be so nice at the end of summer to move in there, have the practice facility and everything up and going, and that's such a big home court advantage for us, as we all know last year, and really excited to have a full season in there.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Scott Drew, Baylor's national championship head coach with his men's basketball, on many things. He had a media session right before he joined us today here on 365 Sports.
Yeah, that was good stuff as usual from Coach Drew. This is going to be a very interesting roster. It's going to be a very interesting Big 12. They're going to beat up on each other like really, really badly, and it's going to be tense to watch every night, even if you're watching two teams you don't really have a dog in the hunt, that game's probably going to be really good to watch.
They need to win games better. They need to win more games that first weekend, though, don't they? In the tournament,
Yeah, they do. Sometimes I don't think that's indicative of a conference as a whole. I just think that, I mean, everything in the tournament is so, this is who the committee puts you against, and sometimes it's like, well, this is the one kind of team that we can't play in the first weekend.
They're good about the matchup.
You can't do
They're
that,
good about that.
because it's going to be good. You didn't. If you're a team that doesn't shoot a lot of threes, and then you play a team that might be, you can be about 4-13, and the team that you're playing at the 13, that's all they do is shoot threes. So if they get hot, you can't really match it. So it's a bad matchup and you lose. But does that mean your conference was bad or you weren't as good? No,
Well,
it just means that you drew the short end of the matchup stick.
But they still need to get into this second weekend more teams than they did.
No,
You're
it's
right.
true.
Overall, playing 20 league games and having a bunch of teams. But we remember the story, Craig, last year at the end of the year when Clemson's head coach made a comment that he goes and beats Baylor about, the RPI, whatever. It's a hell of a conference. It should be interesting to see how they do starting next year with